Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, October 25th, 2011 broadcast of the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Aaron Dyke sitting in. Alex is scheduled to return tomorrow. He has arrived, however, and he has a big TSA story to tell tomorrow on the radio show and here on this program. Now, coming up, we have a lot of vaccine news, as well as an update on the push for global government through the Occupy movement. But first, there's quite a bit of police state news to go over. Now, two of the biggest cities with gun bans are New York City and Chicago, and there's scandals going on in both of them. In New York City, cops were caught smuggling guns, even as the police chief, Ray Kelly, has been speaking out against illegal guns. They arrested 8 NYPD officers and a Jersey correction officer for trafficking more than 1 million in illegal weapons, as well as other stolen goods. There's more details on that story, of course, but basically you've got disarmed citizens and police as part of the racket. Now, people like Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote about this in his book, Between Two Ages. I read the quotes last week, where as the system becomes more and more integrated globally, organized crime itself becomes part of the system that is meant to check crime. And you've heard people like Frank Serpico talking about how his unit in and around New York City was almost completely corrupt. Almost every officer was on the take. We're not saying that's the case today, but it certainly doesn't give good officers a good name. In Chicago, a cop is now under scrutiny for shooting a suspect 3 times in the back of the head after shooting what turned out to be a total of 16 shots. He ran from police after a domestic abuse complaint, and then this video that we're about to show shows an officer hitting him 3 times in the back of the head. Now, the suspect was Flint Farmer, and the officer was Geraldo Sierra. Sierra, well, there's the shots right now. You can see him in slow motion, and he was lying on the ground already. So if he was in custody, why would they shoot him in the back 3 times? Why would they have to do that? Now, this officer, Sierra, shot 2 other people within a 6-month period, one other case fatal. His case is now under investigation, but as the Chicago Tribune points out, there's not a very good track record over the past decades of Chicago police investigating itself, so we'll keep an eye on that situation. Now, on the other side of police state news, you don't just have corruption, but you have more and more a police state image being sold to the American people. Now, we wanted to show this Mazda ad before we get into some of the tracking technology to show how they're literally selling you on the idea of a car setting you free and increasing police state here in this prison ad right now.
Most 40-mile-per-gallon sedans are sentenced to a life of uninspired performance. Not this one. Meet the 2012 Mazda 3 with revolutionary Skyactiv technology. It's not the first 40-mile-per-gallon sedan.
And we're still looking at the specific research, but we have reason to believe that was actually filmed in a FEMA holding center, just like some of the ones we've investigated here in Taylor, Texas, and up in Hardin, Montana. But you really see the subconscious idea that America is becoming a prison, but somehow the car can still set you free. Now, we know that's not true. Right now, let's talk about some of the OnStar technology admissions that they're indeed tracking drivers, selling the data to police and other law enforcement, as well as to third parties. We share selected information with the following third parties: law enforcement or other public safety officials. Now, OnStar is, of course, not the only technology. There's all kinds of companies involved in all kinds of tracking schemes, some of them in vehicles, some of them in other areas. We know that TomTom, the popular GPS company, was caught selling data to police, who then used that data to create speed traps, even though that's not quite as bad as other uses that could come up. TomTom had been unaware that Dutch police were using the data to choose locations for speed traps, and that the company would prevent that type of usage in the future. So that's a report where they apologize after having to admit kind of a limited hangout. but other data is still being sold by similar companies. And we also know that the Progressive Insurance Company has been heavily marketing the savings you can get from their new Snapshot device. We reported on that back in January of this year. Now, this is a device you opt in to put into your car, and then it tracks your driving habits down to the speed and kind of your frequent areas. But they do tell us in this disclaimer that we will not share Snapshot data with any third parties unless it's necessary to appropriate your service from insurance policy, unless it's necessary to prevent fraud, unless we're performing research, or unless we're complying with the law. So performing research would, of course, include marketing research and plenty of other stuff. So there's part of the Big Brother system, part of the car, but you have freedom if you get a Mazda. And, well, I guess I'll let it speak for itself. At the same time, there's a new unmanned border checkpoint going on in Texas between Big Bend National Park and the accompanying city in Mexico, Boquillas del Carmen. A U.S. Customs agent stationed miles away will remotely scan travelers' documents, allowing visitors to pass easily between Big Bend and the Mexican village of Boquillas del Carmen, which is falling on hard times as beefed-up border security has cut down on U.S. visitors. Yeah, you bet it has. But, of course, drug cartels and illegal immigration will not be stopped. And also, will the internal checkpoints 50 or 100 miles in be stopped? I know there's one coming out of the Big Bend area. You saw a video last week and then the week before that of Alex Jones going through the internal checkpoints on the other end of Texas near the Mexico border and all the illegal activity going on there, where they claim they weren't searching for drugs but only for narcotics and human odor. And, well, you see how that goes. It's all unconstitutional, and the idea of border security is just an illusion. Now, we're going to be going to break in just a moment, but first we want to talk about the money bomb. We've just aired a new promo video last night, and Infowars really does count on your support. We're not corporate funded. We need people who want our mission to grow to help us buy and spread the DVDs and other T-shirts and bumper stickers to get the word out as well. We're on a mission here at Infowars Nightly News. We're not just trying to bring you hard-hitting information and put a spotlight on the stuff the mainstream media won't touch or won't cover in the proper analysis. We're also trying to restore the republic and curb this global tyranny going on everywhere, seemingly without hesitation or halt at all. And to do that, we do need your support. Now, we do have you try to buy the DVDs, the T-shirts, the bumper stickers, which help get the word out as well. It's a dual mission. And we do have advertisers, but for the past 3 years, we've had a money bomb initiative to try to put us over the top. And Alex wants to use that platform to try to launch a new offensive to grow this program and other aspects of Infowars and make sure we're reaching the people we need to. So we do ask for your support. That's coming up on November 3rd. And Alex is going to do another marathon broadcast, not just 24 hours, but 27 hours straight through from one radio broadcast to the next. It's going to be packed with all kinds of special guests, special video features, and a whole lot more. So please tune in for that. Spread the word about that broadcast and about Infowars Nightly News in general. Coming up, we're going to have total vaccine coverage from the anthrax vaccine, proven to be dangerous, to the HPV vaccine, just approved for boys, and a whole lot more. We have exclusive video from Mike Adams, and we're going to cover the push for global government. But right now, we're going to go to break. Stay with us. Infowars Nightly News, InfowarsNews.com.
Ron Paul, a visionary who predicted the financial crisis, a leader with a plan to solve it. The Paul Plan? Balance the budget. Cut $1 trillion year one. Eliminate 5 federal bureaucracies. End the foreign wars and nation building. Rein in the Federal Reserve. Pay down the debt. Cut taxes to create jobs. Ron Paul, a plan to restore America now.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the Infowars store at Infowars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe Infowars T-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at Infowars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at Infowars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. Infowars.com.
And welcome back from break. Again, I'm Aaron Dykes sitting in, and Alex will return tomorrow. Coming up later in this long news segment, we have an interview with Mike Adams. But first, we just wanted to highlight some of the Occupy protest footage in Sydney, Australia, where police became violent while removing protesters. Now, there is no hard fast rule for free speech in Australia. However, political speech is supposed to be protected. It's a very glorified so-called right as long as it's not hate speech, blah, blah, blah. Nonetheless, why did police go to these measures? Let's cue the video.
Police from the Critical Incident Response Unit, the Riot Squad, people from uniform, even people with search and rescue gear on. Police are dragging these protesters out. As you can see, they're being held by their arms, their legs. We have been tweeting about this, we've been updating our website, but now things have just taken an absolute turn. All that stuff.
Now, it's hard to believe these police are going to get it by the time the bankers come for their pensions and so forth. These Occupy Sydney protesters have vowed to come back in force in 3 days from the time of that video. I think that's on the 26th, which is tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. But in other parts of the Occupy movement, I just wanted to use my platform to try to issue a warning. We know the Occupy movement's broad. We know the anger's justified. We know there's every reason to call out the bankers, the corruption, the cronyism, the government access, and the rest of it. However, there is an increasing movement to bring about a global solution for this global economic crisis, and I'm not going to stay silent about it. Patrick Henningsen wrote about it tonight. Robin Hood tax, Occupy movement now marching straight into the globalist trap. There it is. And he warns that Adbusters, the very group that helped form the very first Occupy movement protest, has called for a global taxation system under a new global government body, basically for a Robin Hood tax, better known as a Tobin tax, that would tax shares, bonds, derivatives, but also pensions. Now, we know a Tobin tax could be useful if the laws were written right, if it was put forward within sovereign nations, but a global body is very dangerous. The only reason to do that would be to rein in derivatives, but this is not the only call for global government. There was also last week Kurt Nimmo's article on the call for global governance from people like Noam Chomsky and others who want global democracy, and they wrote a manifesto calling for the way they'd like to go about that. That's tied in with the United Nations Parliamentary Association. They say instead of calling for abolishing global networks like the IMF, WTO, multinational banks, the G8, G20, European Central Bank, and the UN Security Council, the manifesto calls for simply democratizing them. And they're going to take these and similar demands to the G8, G20 protest coming up in a short time period from now. We have some of the video here from the creepy call for one world global democracy.
United for global democracy.
United for global democracy.
October 15th, 2011.
October 15th, 2011.
United in our diversity.
United in our diversity.
United for global change.
United for global change.
We demand global democracy.
We demand global democracy.
Global governance by the people, for the people.
Global governance by the people, for the people.
Inspired by our sisters and brothers in Tunisia.
Inspired by our sisters.
The problem is that global governance by the people, for the people is a dangerous trap and illusion. Global government was